Hi again, Erica Robinson from In the Company of Cards. Uh, the closer we get, the more questions we have. Am I right? Welcome to all of my subscribers, new and old. Um, really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate the support. I love how the channel's grown. Very excited by that. So thank you so much. I wanted to look at four things today. Uh, all of them kind of 45-ish related. So the first one is something that a lot of us readers have been looking at, and that is uh, Elon Musk's $1 million giveaways. So if you haven't heard, he has said that he will, it's kind of like you're entered into a lottery, sort of, give $1 million a day out to a special someone. Uh, these are people who agree to sign a petition, and the petition is to show support for the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. Okay, now, as we already know, the Constitution already has a First and Second Amendment, and neither of those is in danger of going anywhere anytime soon. So why the petition? To remind you, the First Amendment is the right to speech, free speech, and the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. I mean, I wish we could get rid of that one, but I don't think we're going to get rid of that one anytime soon. So why would anybody sign a document, you know, um, stating their support for those two amendments? Something shady about that. Now, there may be some other language in there that is sort of like an agreement that you are making to vote Republican. Well, how is anybody going to check on that? If your vote is sacred and secret, how are they going to check up on you? I have a theory about what this is all about. I don't think it has to do with the First Amendment or the Second Amendment, or I mean, even voting. You could take the money and stay home if you wanted to. There's no way they can check up on you. But I'm I'm wondering if it is Musk's um, sort of amassing a list of people, right? Like getting people's. It's not just your name. You probably, when you sign a petition, a lot of times they want your address too, or some other identifying factor to prove that you're not, Mickey Mouse. So I think it's about gathering data on people. So what I'd like to know is whether Musk will face any kind of consequence for this $1 million a day giveaway for a week or whatever. No, I guess it's a day. This $1 million a day giveaway, could that not be considered tampering, election interference? Is there a problem with what he's doing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the fish as my significator, my focus card, because fish is about money. And let's see what we get. Okay, so I'm gonna cut the deck. It's already shuffled, and then gather it up, and we're looking for fish. Okay, so this is Elon Musk's $1 million a day giveaway for the last, week or so of the election, like 2 weeks or whatever. Two cards there, two cards here. Okay. So we have child, clouds, fish, letter, younger man. All right. So I'm going to pull a couple of clarifiers. Okay, so again, we have the child, clouds, fish, letter, young man. So let's talk about these and then we'll look at the clarifiers that I pulled. So I think the first thing to say is that his assumption, which I mean, is not necessarily wrong, is that the electorate is kind of naive. The Trump electorate is naive and will say, whoa, $1 million. I mean, yeah, sign me up. Some people obviously are getting lesser amounts. Like I've heard, $100 if you register, whatever. But you're in this lottery to win this $1 million a day. People live in hope, and there is a naivete that he's counting on, a cluelessness and an immaturity and a fascination with shiny things like $1 million, things dangled in front of you, $1 million bills. He's counting on people being suckers, and he's counting on their judgment being clouded, right? He's counting on them not asking the question, excuse me, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? He's counting on that. He thinks that the naivete will trump this, that, pardon the pun, that they'll just sort of watch the watch and their eyes will get all swirly and they'll see those dollar signs and then do whatever he wants them to do. So then we have fish in the middle, and this is the money. It's to buy votes. Remember, this is our vote card. And then we have at the end this. Who would this appeal to? These young incel men who want to be part of something and think that Musk is cool and, want bragging rights that they almost won $1 million. It's ridiculous. Now I can do some mirroring. I can mirror this last card. This is immature yang energy, incel energy. I can mirror with the first card, which is the child, right? It appeals, this ploy appeals um, to immature, easily swayed people, particularly men. And again, it's to cloud people's thinking about the vote. Like they're going to say, well, how come Kamala is not paying people $1 million a day? It's ridiculous. Okay, so I drew some clarifiers. So I looked at the money and I just drew a couple. So we have birds and we have star. So this is the money. A lot of this is to create buzz. Hey, did you hear? Elon's giving out money. Get in line, sign the paper, do whatever he wants you to do. That's what he counts on. But I feel like this is not so much about the election per se as how he can use those names and addresses in the future. The stars about the future. And then we have the letter here, boats, and we have the clarified by garden and women. I think he's trying to counteract the female vote by bringing out everybody else whose vote conceivably could be for sale. And then we have this young, um, impetuous, immature yang energy, and the clarifiers are the moon and the book. So the moon is about your reputation, other people's understanding of who you are, your intention, your purpose. The purpose is hidden. The purpose is hidden. The book is about things we don't know. And I can mirror this last card with the first card. he's thinking, I mean, and he could be correct, that people are going to be so immature, so greedy, so swayed by the prospect of shiny things like $1 million checks that they won't pay attention to his real motivation because that will remain undisclosed until a future date. So yeah, he's up to no good. So that's the first thing, as as to the why of it all. I think I also want to look at whether or not he runs any legal risk in doing this, because there are a lot of blind eyes that are being turned to a lot of bad behavior, and I'm curious to see whether or not he will pay a price for this bad behavior. So I think I'm going to look for the tower, and let the tower represent the legal system. Will Musk run any risks, any legal risks? No, you know what? We're not going to look for the tower. We're going to look for Musk. We'll let him be the older man. And we want to know, will he run a risk? First, we looked at his intention. Now we're looking to see whether he is at risk legally. Okay. All right. So please like, share, subscribe while we're waiting for me to find this Musk card. Up, here it is. Okay. Will he run legal risk? Okay, this is pretty clear. Woman, bouquet, man, mountain, clover. Okay. So again, young woman, bouquet, here's Musk, mountain, clover. Okay, here's the thing. Whatever his ploys are, including these financial ones, young women and the people who care about them, their mothers, their sisters, their fathers, their brothers, their uncles, their grandparents, will win the day. As I've said before, Harris will be the next president, which means that Musk gets blocked, gets stopped. And I'm going to pull a clarifier on this mountain. And I think it will be in very short order. He owns too much. The government has too many contracts with him. He's already the richest man on the planet. He's going to have to be brought to heel, we'll just call it. And I'm going to pull a clarifier on the mountain. Yeah. Ah! Coffin. He will be stopped. And I think he will run some risk of incarceration, because this can be the card of incarceration. I know money talks, but Harris is a law and order president. She will be, and he will be stopped in his tracks. He's very, people want to think that he's very calculating, but I don't see him as calculating Musk. I see him as impetuous, foolhardy, and I think this is going to cost him. All right, let me turn down my noisy heater. Sorry. Okay, so the second question I want to look at is, okay, so 45 is meant to be holding a rally, campaign rally in Madison Square Garden in New York City, a venue with which I am very, very familiar. It is beloved in New York. It's an institution. So you might say to yourself, well, I mean, he's doing this thing in New York and he needs a big venue. And what's a big venue in New York? Madison Square Garden. So that's why he picked it. Wrong. Uh, I don't know if you're aware, but 45 has this tendency to go places that have some sort of historical significance, and therefore the places themselves, the venues, act as dog whistles. So he goes to places which were, for example, sundown towns, and I've looked at that in a video. That was on purpose. When he talks about "Make America Great Again," he's it's a racist dog whistle. What's that got to do with Madison Square Garden? Well, in 1939, long before I was born, and I'm sure that's true for many of you, which is why it's not maybe current in people's memory, there was a Nazi rally, can you believe it? Held in Madison Square Garden, filled to the brim. 45 knows that. So when he harkens back to the good old days, right, and goes to these places like sundown towns, um, this is in line with that, I think. So I would like to just ask the question, why is 45 holding the rally at Madison Square Garden? Is it just because, it's a big venue that holds a lot of people? Or am I correct? And it's a dog whistle, albeit in a state that won't go for him. New York will not go for 45. So it's interesting. It's a statement more than anything else. It's a dog whistle statement. That's what I think. But who am I? And again, you don't come to YouTube for my opinion. Let's see what Spirit says. Okay. And I think that I'm going to use as a focus card the garden, because that's what we call it. The garden, Madison Square Garden. Okay. Here we go. Did I pass it? No. Okay. Deep in the deck, right? Okay. Okay. So we have the book, we have the coffin, we have the garden, the house, and the clouds. And I'm going to draw some clarifiers on a couple of the cards, and then I'll talk about them. So, yeah, got it. All right. So the five original cards are the book, the coffin, there's the Madison Square Garden, the house, and clouds. Okay. First of all, the book. Uh, Trump's not going to come out and say, "Yeah, I'm holding this rally here, and I want you to all remember 1939, the Nazi rally." No, no, no. It's sub rosa. Those who get it will get it. Those who get it will get it. But he's not going to come out and say that that's what it's about. This is about him trying to sort of, on the other hand, raise the collective memory of back when they had that rally and back when America was great. Okay. Then we have the garden card in the center. And remember that New York is 45's old stomping ground. He's going back home and he wants people to know, I'm not afraid. And I'll pick the biggest venue I can find right in the heart of Midtown. What are you going to do? And it's to create confusion. Because of course it'll be crowded, right? And people will say, wait, I thought New York wasn't for him. He wants to confuse people. We can mirror this clouds card with the book. Confusion, things that are hidden. His agenda, of course, is that he wants to be another Hitler. Just saying. Okay. And then the coffin and the house. New York, you may think that you're kicking me in the butt with all these lawsuits and all that, but I'm a vampire. I'm going to rise again, and I'm going to do it in my own backyard. And to hell with you. Entertainment purposes only, YouTube. Okay, so I drew some clarifiers. I drew clarifiers on the garden. This is Madison Square Garden. We have the stork and the star. This is absolutely an echo of the Nazi rally in 1939. America will be great again. Positive improvement in the future. It's an echo of that Nazi rally. And remember, that Nazi rally was in 1939, not 1946. So it was just as Hitler was coming to power, right? And this is 45, thinking he's going to come to power. And so he's going to want to build up a big, crescendo of feeling right in the heart of Midtown. And that this is the beginning of him making America great again. Okay, so here he is in his own backyard, slick like a fox. You cannot trust this man. And by the way, he's always been like that. But what he's trying to do is plant seeds. If New York will come out en masse in this huge rally, people may say, this is what he hopes, people may say, oh, well, I mean, I thought they didn't like him, but I mean, I guess they do. Oh, you know what? He's a known quantity, and who knows about this Kamala person? Maybe I'll vote for him. This is what he's counting on. And who does he think will say that? Who is he going to confuse? These young, incel, can't get a date young men. The, in another era, the brown shirts. And he wants to gather them up. Now, I say gather them up because remember that a scythe is an ancient farming tool, but it's ingenious. On the one hand, that curved blade means that it can cut, right? But it also is a curved blade, which means it can gather in. He's trying to gather in the incels who will be the new army that will take the place of 1939's brown shirts. Uh, and the scythe, this last card, is mirrored by the book. They won't know that they've been taken in, duped, hoodwinked, run amok, led astray until it's too late. So this is his intention, right? Is to gather them in, especially young men without purpose, without power, without girlfriends, who are looking for a tribe, a team to belong to, and 45's their guy. Okay, so that cards almost, well, they did fly out of my head. That's interesting. So, stay tuned for information, not to me, but stay tuned to the news for information about that rally. But that is his intention. It's got me all worked up here. That's his intention, is to, in his own backyard of a place that can't stand him, to amass a huge crowd, particularly of young, disenfranchised white men, full of white power, you know, juice, and get them mobilized, right in the heart of Midtown. Okay. Speaking of bold initiatives, we'll say, 45 has been sued. This is a federal suit, and it's by the Exonerated Five, formerly known as the Central Park Five, because recently 45 has flapped his mouth using the same words, the same rhetoric that he did years ago about these five young men who were falsely accused, jailed, later exonerated of the rape of a young woman, white woman, in Central Park. At the time, and this was way back, I don't know, I feel like it was in the 80s, but 45 said that they should be executed. Now, they have been exonerated for a while now, but he's still saying that. They pled guilty, they should be in jail, they should be executed, etc. Well, they are suing him in federal court for defamation. And I would like to know where that lawsuit will go. Okay. Um, so let's see. I'm going to use the tower for the court. Next to the last card, which means that I only have one card that goes at the end. So I have to put cards that come before here. And then this is my last card here. Okay, so we have fish, book, key, tower, house. You know, when this kind of thing happens, and the card that I'm actually looking for ends up not being able to go in the middle, as I've said to you many times, I'm always fascinated by, well, what card will be in the middle? Well, here it's the key. So I'm going to pull clarifiers and then I'll talk about the line. Okay. So remember, this is their lawsuit. And so we're looking at this, will their lawsuit um, against him win? So we have fish, book, key, the court, and the house. Okay. This is money, right? Now it's a federal suit. I don't know if it's well, I guess it's a defamation suit, so it's got to be a civil suit. Um, Money that he will have to pay out of his pocket. This is his personal money, not campaign money or anything. He will have to pay this out of his pocket. So, again, the book is things we don't know. I think that 45 doesn't realize that you can't just run your mouth. I mean, he clearly doesn't realize that because we've heard of how he runs his mouth. I think he just thought this was a throwaway line. It would it would affect the people it was meant to affect, and that would be it. I don't think he sees it coming. I can mirror the book with the court. He didn't see this lawsuit coming. Right. It's kind of like the way that he keeps insulting E. Jean Carroll and doesn't think about the fact that she can relitigate and relitigate and relitigate and relitigate. It's the same thing here. He thinks he can just say whatever he wants and get away with it. He doesn't realize that the court can come down on him. Okay. Now, I drew cards on this key because it is the card that landed in the middle. But I just want to see what it means. So we have young women, we have young men, and we have a moon. Here's what I think. First off, this is the answer. Remember what I keep saying. Women and the people who love them and the men who love them will be the deciders of this election. I think that the way that he treats women and talks about women will be seen in the same light as the way he's talking about these young men who are not so young anymore, but they were, uh, and how he tries to reputationally smear them. Okay. It will sound like it's all of a piece to the court. Oh, this is what he does. He goes around accusing people and smearing people and ruining people and damaging people. We see that this is all sort of reputational damage, and we're having to assess the cost of that. And they will assess the cost because here is the court and here are the clarifiers. We have clover, we have the bouquet, and we have the lily. Really like these cards. In very short order, the court will decide this case, and it will be decided in favor of the plaintiffs, the five. They will be awarded, and they will be awarded such that they feel as though they are vindicated, as though justice is done, as though they can sort of breathe a sigh of relief and say, oh, okay, this was not a token judgment against them, against him. This was something where they feel good, good, good. He got his. And then I drew clarifiers on the house, and I got garden, sun, and star. I think that, again, the money's going to come out of 45's pocket. People will see him for who he is. People will see him for who he is. And this is the future. I can mirror the future with the original card, which is fish. And I mean, I think by the time people are through with him, he's not going to have my mother would say, a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out. Just saying. Now, that's all I'm going to talk about for today. But speaking of pot to pee in and a window to throw it out, a viewer has asked me to look at a question that I think will be worth its own video. So I will do it tomorrow. And it is, they wanted me to look at 45 in 2025. I'm going to add 2026 to that. So I'm going to do a sort of, not a retrospective, because that would have already happened, a prospective look ahead at what 45's life will be like in 2025, 2026. So stay tuned for that. It'll come out sometime tomorrow. I'll video it sometime tomorrow. All right. Well, in the meantime, have a wonderful Monday. Thank you all so much for all your kind words and your support. And like, share, subscribe. I'll see you soon tomorrow. Bye-bye.